Today I'm going to be shopping through my eyeshadow Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, where today I'm going to be diving into my eyeshadow palette collection and pulling out colors so that I can do a mint and yellow look. I don't think I've ever combined those colors together, and I thought it would be fun. So if you're interested in seeing that, then stick around and we can figure it out together. My headband is not sitting right because I have postpartum hair loss, and like there are sections around the front that are just so much thinner than they used to be, so it's being weird. It's being weird. Let me tell you about the palettes that I've pulled for this look. The reason I wanted to do this look is because I was mentioning in a recent video about how I enjoy pairing mint, specifically my Mint to Be palette from ColourPop, with lots of other colors. Mint is a color which looks good on me, and it's fun to just put it with other things and make creative color combinations. I've done mint and berry, mint and green, obviously, mint and blue, obviously, like some of the easier ones like that. And then I thought, haven't done mint and yellow, ooh. So that's where we are today. Now, I have pulled 4 palettes from my collection to achieve this look. For the yellow, I pulled the Michaela palette from Glamlight. This is the first one. This is a very good matte yellow. Now, I own the yellow monochromatic palette from ColourPop, the name of which I can't seem to recall, but I have it listed for sale, and I don't feel right using something that I've got listed for sale. So I pulled this palette because I know that this has a nice matte yellow. For a yellow shimmer, I pulled the Limoncello palette from ColourPop. You'd think that this palette would have a good matte yellow, and it does, but it's got the wrong undertones. This is the only matte yellow in the palette, and this has like more brown leaning undertones. Anything with brown in it is gonna look kind of awful, I think. I think it's gonna clash with the mint. However, this is a beautiful yellow shimmer, so definitely gonna dive into that. Ooh, the Paletopoly. I just remembered the Paletopoly palette has an amazing yellow shimmer. Okay, so let me swatch them for you. This is Scrunchy from Paletopoly, and this is Serenade from Limoncello. Scrunchy is more along the lines of what I want. So veto that, not using Limoncello, I'm gonna use Paletopoly instead. Crunchy, and it has the sunshiny lemon sorts of undertones rather than more brown based or mustardy yellow. That's very key because mint has a white base. So I want to find yellows that have the most white base that I can get. For the mint, I'm obviously going to use the Mint to Be palette from ColourPop. This one is literally falling apart. I have had 2 shadows totally fall out, and then this one I opened it up today, and this one's on the edge of falling out. So I'm holding it carefully. I'm really bummed about the ones that fell out because they were kind of the tones that I was wanting to play with. I'm definitely going to be using 1 or 2 of these shimmers, maybe this shade right here, but I'm also going to grab the Wilderness palette from Beauty Bay because there's a shade in here which is actually called Mint. That's probably going to be a little bit more foundational to my look, and then I want to use this shade over here, I think, to deepen it out a little bit. So that's my plan. If I find that I really need something more pastel to blend out my shadows, I will probably grab the Surge palette from Blend Bunny, but I don't really think I'm going to need that because the colors I'm working with are so light. I've already primed my eyes. I used the Glamlight Icing Primer in the shade Buttercream, so let's get going. It's always a challenge when you're working with several different eyeshadow palettes for a look because there's just a lot of back and forth, cleaning off brushes, dipping into a different palette, and I don't have a table in front of me, so they're literally on the floor. I have learned to close the palette as I put it on the floor so that nothing falls into it, gets scraped through it, nobody steps on it, etc. But it's still a bit of a challenge. I'm going to start in yellow. This is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking I'm going to lay down the 2 base colors and then gently work them together. I don't think it'll be too tricky to work them together, but I don't want it to get muddy. I'm not sure. And then I'll lay down shimmer. It should be a pretty easy look all in all. This is a Blend Bunny B1 brush. I'm taking the yellow in the Michaela palette, which is called Handy. And what I'm going to do is fill my crease with the 2 colors and go from there. I recently did a tag video. I don't remember if it's live now or if it's going up soon, but it's like an eyeshadow palette tag, and one of the questions was palettes that you like to combine together, and I honestly answered I always combine palettes. There are no 2 palettes that I just like to work with one another. I think my channel almost exclusively combines palettes. I very rarely have a palette when it's launched. I very rarely do dedicated videos because I'm so late to the game. I usually buy secondhand, and nobody's watching my channel anyway for reviews on current things. There are so many other channels where you will get great thorough reviews, 3 to 5 looks, swatches, everything you'd need to make a decision about a palette. And those are the videos that I watch when I'm trying to make a decision about a palette. So no one's coming to me for that. In fact, a lot of my subscribers tell me how much they appreciate the fact that I do use older palettes that I shop my stash. So this is the sort of thing that's right up my alley. I'm going to grab Mint now. I think I will take the Wilderness palette. The shadow is called Mint. I'm going to use this same brush and just clean it off a bit And I'm gonna put this on my outer half and see how it goes. See, even this yellow is not quite as sunshiny as I want. It's just not. I think it'll be okay once I put that lemony shimmer on it, because that shimmer is truly remarkable and it's gonna lighten up all of the yellow in the look. We're just not there yet. This is a little bit more of a yellow mustard sort of yellow. It doesn't have brown undertones, I think, but it's just not as bright and vibrant as I really want. I don't think I have a yellow in my collection which fits the bill. So now where these two shadows meet in the middle, I'm going to overlap them a little bit. I'm not totally sure how it's going to go. I think I'll just get a different shade of green in the center there. So I don't want to overlap them a lot, but I think that they're going to go together pretty easily because they're very comparable as far as their depth. And I will also flare this green out into the shape that I like out here. I do want to deepen this outer corner a bit. This is a Blend Bunny B3 brush, and I'm taking the shade Forest from Wilderness, and I'm just gonna put this right in my outer corner. I'll do a little wedge shape out here. Now, Beauty Bay shadows don't usually build on themselves or at all very well. I generally start with the darkest when using Beauty Bay, and I work lighter from there. Today I didn't consider that, and that's okay. This is working all right, especially because it's not one of the deepest tones. It seems that the darker the Beauty Bay matte, the less it wants to build. So, I mean, I like the Beauty Bay formula. I have no complaints. It's just a comment, something I've noticed, and that's a matter of technique. Sometimes it's just better for the formula to be aware of its idiosyncrasies and work with them, because you do get beautiful results. With that same brush, I'm just carrying the mint over a little bit more. I don't want the forest shade to overwhelm the mint because I do ultimately want this to be a yellow and mint look. I just really love contrast, and I wanted the depth in the outer corner. So that is looking pretty good. Let's grab some shimmers. Honestly, there is even a nice mint shimmer in the Wilderness palette. I might just end up throwing away my Mint to Be palette. This is a flat brush. I'm going into Scrunchy from Paletopoly. My Mint to Be palette is beautiful, but if I can do everything that I wanted to do using the Wilderness palette, which is obviously not a small monochromatic palette, and my Mint to Be palette is literally falling apart, I think I might get rid of it so that I don't find mint colored eyeshadow ground into my carpet, which has happened before. Here's Scrunchy, and I sprayed it. I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to fill in this lid space under the yellow matte. This is such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful shade. I love it. It is absolutely my favorite shade in this Paletopoly palette. It is bright, vibrant, smooth, creamy. It performs beautifully. It works dry if you want to do a lighter little sparkly sort of wash, and it also works damp, as you can see, to make a nice pigmented, buildable, shimmery color. Oh, I love this shadow. All right, the moment of truth. I think I will take Mint to Be. I have it. I know it's good. Let me try it. I have found that ColourPop shimmers often apply better with the finger, so I'm taking my finger into the shade Mint Tea, and I'm going to place this on the edge of the yellow. And then I'll probably use the brush to just work it a bit into the minty mattes. Maybe I'll grab the Wilderness shimmer, which is, I think, a smidge darker, and add it to the look. I don't know. I'm shopping my stash, and this is fun. Can you guys tell the difference in the formula? Look at the sparkle that the Ace Beauté formula brings versus the almost dull result of the shimmer in the ColourPop palette. I mean, I started with ColourPop. It was like, I did only ColourPop for like the first 6 months of playing with eyeshadow, but now ColourPop just doesn't really compare very favorably. Just look at the way that this is sparkle and not sparkle. I'm going to take the Wilderness palette shimmer. The shadow is called Breeze. It is a little bit deeper, but it's going to blend nicely into the darker matte, and I'm going to lay that down basically on top of the mint I just laid down, maybe a little bit more this direction. Even that one, that one just has more sparkle. Can you see the difference as far as sparkle and color payoff and performance? Yep, I think that cinched it. I think I'm gonna throw away the Mint to Be palette. It's been a staple for so long, but I mean the results, just the results. I'm doing exactly the same thing on the lower lash line. I took the yellow matte and brought it in on my lower lash line, like the inner half, and now I'm taking the Mint shade from Wilderness, laying it down on the outer half of my lower lash line, meeting them in the middle. I'm bringing the Mint a little bit further in on the lower lash line because I like to keep this angle. So there would therefore be less of the yellow on my lower lash line than on the upper half. Now I'm grabbing a smudger brush and going into the Forest shade to press it into the lashes out here. Ooh, I know. Okay, small blending brush. The shade Ray in the Wilderness palette still. I will spray this. This is, it kind of looks like an ivory sort of shimmer in the palette, but it actually has some little green undertones and like shifts to it. So I'm taking Ray and I'll put that right here. Yes. Oh, yes. Perfect. Honestly, a nice pastel matte would have worked as well. Sometimes I forget about pastel mattes. This is lovely. I'm gonna find something for my waterline, go off camera, finish up the other side. I'll be right back. Okay, tell me what you think. What do you think? I think it turned out really lovely. I'm looking at it thinking, I've probably done this before. How could I not have done this before? But I don't remember having done it before. I'm gonna look back through my Instagram, which, as I've said before, is simply a log of my eyeshadow looks. I don't do much on Instagram. I do prefer the long form content of YouTube, but I like Instagram because it's just a whole video of all the looks that I've done. So I'm gonna go back and see if I've done anything like this, because I know I've done a lot of yellow and green looks, but not necessarily yellow and mint. I'm curious. I'm gonna look and see. Let me tell you what I did to finish off. In my waterline, I used this butter yellow called Extra Frosting from ColourPop. I did an eyeliner and of course inner and outer wing, as you can see. On my lips, I'm wearing the ColourPop lip oil in the shade Smirk, and on my face, I have a bit of the Tulum palette from BH Cosmetics as bronzer and a little bit of two colors from the ABH Aurora Glow Kit as a highlighter. And let's talk about the look and the palettes. Let's talk about the palettes. So my plan, of course, once I dug through my stash, was to use these 4 palettes. This one, I'm gonna throw it away, honestly. Now I'm gonna throw it away for 2 reasons. The performance is not as good as other mints that I have in my collection. It's simply not. I used all 3 of the minty shades in the Wilderness palette and I got a better result than these. But also, more than that, well, because this is a good palette, I have 2 shadows totally gone, and then the other 3 shimmery Super Shock shadows, like these 3 down the center. This one you may be able to see is actively loosening and like trying to fall out. It almost fell out twice today. I have already gotten eyeshadow ground into my carpet because things unexpectedly broke, so I'm gonna throw away Mint to Be. It's time to declutter it. Okay, so aside from that, the Wilderness palette was kind of the star of the show today. I used more shadows in here than I was expecting. Paletopoly, of course, brought this incredible lemon sunshine yellow shimmer, which I love. And I actually could have used this yellow matte in Paletopoly instead of the Michaela, because I think they're pretty much the same color, but I did use the Michaela palette for the yellow matte. So all in all, I could have done today's look with just these 2 palettes. I had planned on using Limoncello. That didn't happen, but it's okay. And finally, I have a palette pull-in project, which I can card above for you. I did not use my palette pull-in today because the shadow I would have had to use is this pink, and the whole point of this project is to challenge me, right? However, I really didn't want to include any pink in today's look. So end of the day, this is my face and it's what I wanted to do, and I can skip my palette pull-in if I want. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I hope you like this look. Let me know in the comments what you think. I think it's really beautiful. I'm having so much fun with it. I just love the contrast in color. And remember, sometimes you don't necessarily need depth to get contrast. Sometimes your contrast can simply be 2 colors that are worlds apart. And the challenge is to make them meet harmoniously in the middle. Thank you very much for being with me here today. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Do remember to like and subscribe if you want to see more content, and I'll see you guys again in my next video. Bye!